Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. And now I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free and each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for $50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail. Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.
Let's talk about Daniel LaPlante, the kid who could have been the poster child for red flags we completely ignored. Born into a life of neglect, abuse, and bad decisions, none of them his own at first, he grew up to be exactly the kind of person your parents warn you about, assuming your parents were paying attention. From stalking families to literally hiding in their walls, Daniel's life read like the world's darkest cautionary tale. This episode takes you into his early years, where everything went wrong, no one stepped in, and the line between weird and dangerous got obliterated. Buckle up, because this one is unsettling as it is downright bizarre. But before we get into that story, if you like your true crime brief and bingeable, you have found the right podcast. Hit the follow button now for access to at least 2 episodes per week, and welcome to 10-Minute Murder. A loner, a creep, a childhood soaked in neglect and streaked with a steady parade of run-ins with the law. Some stories seem almost engineered to remind us why certain stereotypes exist. And then there are cases like Daniel LaPlante's. Cases that make you stop and wonder, how did so many red flags go unnoticed? And how did no one step in before things spiraled into the unimaginable? This isn't just a story of a troubled youth, it's a cautionary tale of what happens when the warning signs are ignored. Born in 1970 in the quiet town of Townsend, Massachusetts, Daniel LaPlante's childhood read like a blueprint for tragedy. From the start, his life was a series of unfortunate events wrapped in neglect. Shortly after his birth, his parents divorced, leaving Daniel to grow up in a single-mother household. With his father out of the picture and his mother, Elaine, working to make ends meet, Daniel was left to navigate life mostly alone. That changed when Elaine remarried. Suddenly, Daniel had a full house, a stepfather, 2 younger brothers, and even his biological father circled back into the mix, offering to, air quotes, help with childcare. On the surface, it seemed like a rags-to-riches family dynamic, plenty of people stepping up to fill the gaps. But according to Daniel's later accounts, this patchwork family hid something much darker. He claimed that his father, stepfather, and even his psychiatrist had subjected him to years of physical and sexual abuse. While there's no concrete evidence to support these allegations, the lack of documentation doesn't necessarily disprove them, especially when the alleged abusers included someone in a position of trust, like a psychiatrist. Daniel retreated inward, becoming quiet, introverted, even joining the school's football team, a move that might have elevated his social standing, but it really didn't help. His classmates didn't see him as a teammate as much as they did an oddity. Quote, "The guy never really was all that friendly." One former classmate later said, "He never really liked to go to parties. He never really talked much." From the outside, Daniel seemed like the typical misfit, the kind of kid who floats through school unnoticed. But beneath that quiet exterior, something far more troubling was brewing. Daniel LaPlante's inability to connect with others may have stemmed from deeper challenges. Diagnosed with dyslexia, attention deficit disorder, and other learning disabilities, he struggled academically and socially. Poor grades compounded his isolation, making it even harder for him to fit in with his peers. His classmates didn't just ignore him, they singled him out. Daniel's awkward demeanor and lack of personal hygiene earned him the unkind nickname of class creep, making him an easy target for ridicule. As his struggles mounted, his family sent him to a psychiatrist, hoping to address his behavior. But according to Daniel's later claims, that step only deepened his trauma. He alleged that the very psychiatrist meant to help him had instead sexually abused him behind closed doors. And as I mentioned, there is no physical evidence to support these allegations, but Daniel would later argue that any proof would have been in the hands of the abuser himself. The psychiatrist's official evaluation of Daniel painted a bleak picture. He was described as hyperactive, unable to sit still, and prone to inappropriate behavior in structured environments. On paper, these findings seem to explain Daniel's struggles, but they barely scratch the surface of the darkness brewing within him, a darkness that no evaluation could have fully captured. 15-year-old Tina Bowen caught Daniel LaPlante's attention in a way that would prove tragically significant. Tina was a kind and approachable person, traits that Daniel fixated on. When he asked her to be his girlfriend, Tina politely declined. At first, Daniel seemed to take the rejection in stride, but what followed would shatter any semblance of normalcy for the Bowen family. On the evening of December 6, 1986, a terrified Tina pounded on a neighbor's front door. When the neighbor opened it, she found Tina shaken and frantic, explaining that her family was being held hostage inside their own home. They'd arrived home to find the radios were blaring in the house. Lieutenant Land later recounted, all the lights were on, the TVs were on, all of them, and blaring with sound. Already unsettled, Tina's father, Frank Bowen, began methodically searching the house, determined to figure out what or who was responsible for the chaos. Moving room to room, he finally reached a closet in the front room. When he opened it, he came face to face with a chilling sight. Inside was a man dressed in a fur coat, his face painted white, with his hair styled into spiked tufts. In his hands, he clutched Frank's own hatchet and a steel wrench. "Take the girls to the bedroom," the stranger commanded. Frank, shielding his daughters from the armed intruder, managed to get them into a bedroom and shut the door before the man could follow. Pressing his weight against the door to keep it closed, Frank fought to keep his family safe. But in the chaos, Tina made a desperate decision. Overcome with fear, she disobeyed her father's orders, leaping out of the bedroom window and running to the neighbor's house to call for help. It was Tina's quick thinking and courage that saved her family that night, setting into motion a series of events that would finally bring Daniel LaPlante's actions into the light. When the police arrived at the Bowen home, Frank quickly flagged them down. From the bedroom window, he helped lower his younger daughter and her friend to safety. He then delivered the terrifying news. There was a hatchet-wielding intruder still in the house. The officers swept the home, but the intruder seemed to have vanished. What they discovered, instead, sent shivers through the investigators. It appeared that the stranger hadn't broken into the Bowen home. He had been living there, hiding within the walls and watching the family. His eerie, unexplained presence blurred the line between a burglary and something far more sinister. Identifying the intruder proved difficult. His bizarre appearance, complete with white face paint, spiked hair and his outlandish fur coat obscured any clear sense of his age or features. Yet, by this time, Daniel LaPlante had earned a reputation around town, and it didn't take long for the police to connect the dots. Daniel was, of course, arrested, and while awaiting trial, his mother, Elaine, made a troubling decision. She remortgaged her house to pay his $10,000 bail. Upon learning of Daniel's release, the Bowen family moved out of their home and into a hotel, unwilling to risk another encounter. Meanwhile, the neighborhood began experiencing a wave of burglaries. Cash, jewelry, and most alarmingly, firearms and ammunition were stolen from multiple homes. One day, Daniel's stepfather found a gun hidden in a laundry basket at home. Confronting Daniel, he asked where it had come from. Daniel claimed he had bought it. A flimsy explanation that somehow wasn't pursued further. It was a critical moment, a chance to intervene and potentially prevent further harm, but no action was taken. And nearly a year after Daniel's terrorization of the Bowens, the consequences of that inaction became tragically clear. In December 1987, Andy Gustafson came home expecting the usual joyful chaos of family life. Instead, he found horror. His wife Priscilla, a beloved nursery school teacher, lay face down on their bed. She'd been raped and shot multiple times at point-blank range. Adding to the devastation, Priscilla had been pregnant with the couple's third child. The nightmare didn't end there. In separate bathrooms, Andy found his two young children, 7-year-old Abigail and 5-year-old William, had been strangled and drowned, their lives cruelly and violently taken. What started as a series of escalated warning signs had spiraled into horrific triple homicide, leaving a community to grapple with the devastating consequences of missed opportunities to stop Daniel LaPlante. The Gustafsons' family home bordered a wooded area that Daniel LaPlante often frequented. That same stretch of trees was all that separated their lives from his growing darkness. Daniel had even been caught stealing from the home before, giving the police a clear suspect in the brutal triple homicide. When officers arrived at Daniel's home, they lacked enough physical evidence to arrest him outright. They left, planning to return with a stronger case. But Daniel had other plans. Spotting the police a few days later, he fled, setting off a chaotic and desperate escape. He ran to a nearby house, stealing a van and briefly holding the van owner hostage. After a short drive, he was spotted by another officer, forcing him to ditch the vehicle and continue on foot. His flight ended in a lumberyard, where he brandished a gun, threatened the owner, and attempted to hide in a dumpster. The police caught up with him there, bringing an end to his rampage. Daniel was tried as an adult for the murders of Priscilla Gustafson and her two young children, Abigail and William. The court found him guilty, sentencing him to 3 life terms with the possibility of parole after 45 years. The story of Daniel LaPlante leaves behind more questions than answers. How does a person become capable of such horrific acts? Were there moments when intervention might have changed the course of his life and the lives he destroyed? His crimes are a sobering reminder of the warning signs we often miss and the profound responsibility we share to recognize and act on those signs before it's too late. While justice may have been served, the cost was immeasurable, leaving a community forever scarred by the violence that could have been prevented. That is 10-Minute Murder for today. Brief and bingeable true crime. I'm Joe, I'm the host, and thank you for taking the time to listen. If you dig the podcast, but maybe you're in the mood for something that's not so murdery, there's another podcast I've created. I host it as well. It's called 10-Minute Mystery, and it's on many of the places that you listen to this podcast. So check it out. Type in 10-Minute Mystery wherever you like to listen to podcasts, and let me know what you think about it. If you're a brand new listener to this podcast, make sure you hit subscribe and let your friends and family know about 10-Minute Murder. Connect with me on social media. Links are in the show notes of this episode, or you can go to 10minutemurder.com and find the links, as well as a blog and an updated merchandise store for 10-Minute Murder. And if you got something on your mind or a story that you want to share with me, you can email it to me, joe at 10minutemurder.com. And that's going to do it. That is your episode for today. Thank you so much for listening to 10 Minute Murder. Bye.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. Everybody needs some variety in life. That's what I love about Chumba Casino. They know how to keep things fresh and exciting. All their games are free to play, like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire. You can claim free daily login bonuses, too. And they release new games every week. So spice things up with ChumbaCasino.com now for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus. All right, we're all set for the party. I've trimmed the tree, hung the mistletoe, and paired all those weird-shaped knives and forks with the appropriate cheeses. And I plugged in the Bartesian.
Bartesian?
It's a home cocktail maker that makes over 60 premium cocktails, plus a whole lot of seasonal favorites, too. I just got it for 50 off. So, how about a Cosmopolitan or a mistletoe margarita?
I'm thirsty.
Watch. I just pop in a capsule, choose my strength, and...
Wow, it's beginning to feel more seasonal in here already.
If your holiday party doesn't have a bartender, then you become the bartender. Unless you've got a Bartesian, because Bartesian crafts every cocktail perfectly in as little as 30 seconds. And I just got it for $50 off.
'Tis the season to be jollier.
Add some holiday flavor to every celebration with the sleek, sophisticated home cocktail maker, Bartesian. Get $50 off any cocktail maker at bartesian.com/cocktail. That's BARTESIAN.com/cocktail.